how this video is going to turn out, but I'm just going to do it anyway. So yeah, I'm not really feeling the best, but I'm going to try to do this video anyway. It's definitely not getting monetized, I tell you that much. It's definitely going to be demonetized, but I'm sorry my voice is a little raspy. I've been reading in my last video when I talked about different books I was reading. I mentioned that I was reading the autobiography of that I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and among some other books, and a big thing that I've been not struggling with, but coming to a realization of is in all these different books, and even now reading a book. I didn't want to say the name of it because it has a word that YouTube doesn't like, which is anyway. So it's a Huey P. Newton. I'm reading his autobiography, Revolutionary, and I'll put the title of the second part in the description, or I'll put it like down below or something. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X a while ago. I'm currently reading Huey P. Newton's autobiography. I've read George Jackson's different letters while he was locked up in prison. And they all talk about the early development, and she was the prodigal thing that would highlight, violence and all these other things that the media portrays them to be, but it is a complete opposite. They talk about the human condition a lot, the different circumstances African Americans go through compared to other races, or their own exclusive upbringing, and how it affected them into adulthood, and how it affected decisions they made, especially with the different type of parents that they had growing up. And it sparked a lot of interest in me, and made me quite a bit sad, to be honest with you, because I could relate to their upbringings, and they were not exactly the best upbringings that I could think of, even well into their adult life. I can definitely relate to a lot of the things they went through. And I was trying to talk to somebody about it yesterday. They didn't want to hear it. They said it was sad. So I really don't have anybody else to talk to about the subject. So I'm just gonna talk to this screen right here. But yeah, they were talking mostly about things of, around what age do you really realize that you're a black person and you're different than other people in society. Talking about how you were treated by teachers and even your own kind, your parents, your family, and just how it all affects you growing up, being a kid, and coming to grips with racism and discrimination, and this weird stuff happening. And a lot of the things they talked about, and one thing they talked about was rebellion. Because growing up as a teenager, you don't have any money, you don't have any assets, you don't have really anything to your name, and the only thing you do have is defiance. And yeah, it might not be the most, people might not understand it, or even question it. Why do people, go against the grain and cause problems in school or in their personal life and things like that, because they really don't have anything else, but they're upset. There's an unrest that is, brewing inside them, especially as a black male. Like, I don't know how people think it is the life of a black male, but it is not kind to you. You don't really like you're gonna have fun and stuff, but then the crushing weight of reality is kind of is overbearing sometimes, or you begin to question things, and people don't want you to question anything because different reasons, and it's a very lonely life, I can say, as a black male. I'm pretty sure other black men can attest to this. We all have heard about how men don't get a lot of mental help in society, as I got help for my own mental health, I've never seen a black male willing to want to get help for his mental health while I was in my different circumstances. Every time I turned to another black man and told them about what I was going through, they told me, it's just life. It is a very sad statement to say because it makes me angry, and I feel kind of the similar emotions that Huey P. Newton had when he talked about, you know, never really agreeing with that and never really coming to terms with the quote unquote it's just life statement. Because why? That's like the first question that pops inside my head when things would happen to me and I didn't understand. I would always question, why is this happening? You know, or I would look at the person if someone is doing something wrong or trying to persecute me for something. I would root them and be like, why are they trying to do this to me? What have I done to them to make them this upset or not like me this much? And the conclusion is because I was born with a darker shade of skin and I have predominant features on my face that I can't control. It's not something that you can just wrap your head around real easily, you know. And the help, I don't know, it's not a lot of for black people in general when it comes to mental health and just it's not. And I keep pausing because I'm trying not to be brash. I'm trying to be fair and give my take on it while also taking into account, not every single black man on this earth has a terrible experience growing up. A lot of the background of Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, George Jackson, they all don't come from a very wealthy background. They all had to scrounge and dig around in poverty for a very long time in order to really, and they got lost in it. They learned things outside of what their parents told them. It wasn't all peaches and cream, and they just got up one day and just fixed this shit. Just took a very long time, and they all came across kind of the same education background as far as dropping out of high school or not about to go read and bring up quotes and put quotes into the video because I generally just do not have the energy to do so, and if I try to attempt to do all that, this video will probably never come out. So yeah, I just been thinking about all this, and I was reading while I was at work because I had a new job with a lot of downtime, and I was reading it when I was at work. I was reading, Huey P. Newton's autobiography, and I was uncomfortable with how much I related to him in his early life, because he didn't start out the book with like any anti this or he was very vulnerable in the way he spoke or wrote. He didn't cut any corners. He said it just how it is, how he thought about it in his brain, and that's not something that you can easily do because thousands upon millions are going to read this book and they're going to form an opinion about you. So the courage to write what a lot of people are thinking is, I don't even have a word for it, is the courage that it takes to do that is immeasurable in my opinion. But I just keep tussling with thought about, even when he talked about in the autobiography of Huey P. when he talked about his father working day and night, not being, an abusive person in his life. He wasn't, a bad person or a bad father. He was there for his kids. He made time. He went to work. He worked 2 and 3 jobs at a time. He always tried to provide everything he could for his family, And Huey P. talks about how much he hated, how much his father worked and seen no immediate benefit from it. Sometimes, his dad would have to give away whole entire checks or, a big 80-90% of his check just the bills. And it was a word that I feel like a lot of people can relate to when they don't get the things they want as a kid. The thing parents always say, oh, we can't do that because of bills. It kind of became a word that he despised so much, bills. And I can attest to that. I hate bills to this day. It's just like one of the main factors in why my mental health is so messed up as it is. And it isn't like, oh, like I don't understand the concepts of bills and that I don't work. And then I've worked 2 jobs, I've worked 3 jobs all at one time while going to school. And it's soul crushing when you can't make ends meet, but you're putting in so much effort. And it wasn't like I was just settling for anything. And I feel like a lot of not even black males, just males in general, you is everybody always gives you this attitude to just suck it up. And we heard this plenty of times in the media, especially now with the rise of mental health. Everybody just tells you just to suck it up, but no one wants to hear what you have to say. And I'm gonna dive deeper into that into another video, not exclusively in this one, but it's so weird how you know other races of people are more susceptible to get help, you know, or they're more willing to get help compared to black people. And it's even far less when it comes to black males. Like it is almost like there's like COVID or how the flu is, or any type of like disease or illness that causes mass, you know, conflict. The people that don't want it, they don't want to be exposed to it, they don't want to be around it. That's how mental health feels. The black males sometimes, I'm not talking about me myself, but other people, you know, it's like you mention a word or anything, they see it as a weakness, they see it as something that, you know, you just have to suck it up. And I see so many black males with so many mental conflictions and just mental illness itself that festers in different ways. I've seen plenty of men go to the military and come back broken. You know, they did what they were supposed to do. They, stayed the whole nine. They went through basic training. They got their job. They were stationed. They were in the military. And by the time they came back home, they either weren't the same person. They acquired some type of mental illness or something, or physical deformity. It is just something. Just they never came back the same way they went. And even in movies, some of our favorite movies growing up, even my dad, he let me watch. Sometimes he would watch them with me. Like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. I forget the director's name. He was one of my favorite directors. He has a way of highlighting these different problems. You know, People tell you to make more money as a black man, but you're not on an equal playing field as other people. It's not an equal playing field. Yeah, you can put your head down and work, but then you're gonna miss out. You're gonna, depending on your background and who you can relate to. You gonna end up being a less desirable person because you have to settle for something that you don't want, whether it be in marriage or a job. Because some people do go to college, and this isn't only exclusive to black people. A lot of different people go to college and university, and they graduate, and they like their job or their internship in college. But when they graduate and work for an actual place for the job that they went to school for, they find out that they don't really like it, or it's not what they imagined, and they work at different places. They really try, and they have to come to the conclusion that it's not. It's not. Sometimes you can't win. You can swing for the fences all day long, and you just come up empty-handed. there's no bail, there's no person you can beat up. You can't beat up a system. You can attack it. You can attack points of the system, but it's not an enemy like a physical enemy you can just attack. And is so many different problems and inner workings in our society that just all together just form these weird. It works, but then it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work horribly. When it does work and you're able to skate by, you're able to learn the system, it's fine. But there are also there are so many times where I've gotten, extremely sick, not even mental health wise, I'm talking about this sick. Like, I've had to go to the hospital and they had to prescribe me medicine because I was sick. And jobs just let me go, and I couldn't, exactly fill out the proper paperwork or whatever they wanted me to do. Because, by the time you get out and you read your emails or you get your whatever in the mail or something, and it's all done and over, you be sitting there like they didn't even make an effort. They're like, contact me or call me. They just expect me to do completely everything, even in the midst of me being, horribly sick. That type of just carelessness in society is so disheartening, especially when you experience it over and over again. Over and over again. It could break your spirit, and that's another thing Huey P even talked about in his autobiography. And by the way, I'm not done with this book. I'm currently reading it. I don't know when I'll be done with the amount of downtime I have in my new job, along with just me taking a break because I had a really bad night, and so I'm taking a break today. I do need to do one or two things, but as far as what I usually do, I'm not doing it. Not today. I kind of lost track of what I was talking about, but yeah, what Huey been doing his autobiography, he talks about the spirit. That's another way to put it. Your will, your will to live, your will, spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people are just broken before they even get out of high school. They kind of already accepted life as it is, that they're gonna go to college or not go to college, get a job, get them an apartment or a house eventually. They're gonna get married. They're gonna have some kids maybe. They're gonna grow old and then they're gonna die. That's all right. That's it. And that is, you see all these different types of people. And another thing he touched on, which I was surprised he even touched on it, was the duality of the black man. As if you put your head down and work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, providing for your family, you don't get any trouble, you provide for your family and everything, you have to face the reality of like times when you work 60, 50, 60 hours a week and your check isn't big enough for whatever expense is on the table. And after a while, especially if you've been working one job for a very long time, for 20, 30 years, it could be extremely, I can't even put it into words or articulate it without, I don't know, probably writing it down, just how humiliating it feels, and sometimes even your spouse might get mad at you and question why you're not making enough money, for your household, for the children, for her, and it can make you feel less than a man. And on top of the discrimination and racism of the outside world that you face when you come home, your home life isn't a sanctuary. It isn't a peaceful place for you to, express yourself. It's a it's another obstacle that you have to deal with. You have no peace at home, you have no peace at work, you have no peace. When do you actually have time to relax and unwind as a black person? And this isn't every single black man's reality, but it is a reality for a lot of people. We always give black men a lot of shit for the things that they say and do. How somebody has this I don't care attitude, but if you care about a lot of things, eventually something is going to break. It's impossible to be positive all the time. You can't be, even when you try to do the right thing. And I can attest to this from my own experience of trying to do the right thing in all situations. You can't please everybody, and sometimes doing the right thing isn't exactly the right answer to some people. They don't care that you did the right thing. They're so caught up in the emotion that they yell at you anyway. And yeah, now I'm saying it's easy to decipher, but in the moment of you talking to whoever, it could be, it could, it could kill your spirit a little bit, even a lot, depending on what they say and how they say it. You know, for me, when people were trying to be there for me during my mental illness and having to constantly get into it with people about the realness of it, the fact that this is not something I'm just doing. I'm not lazy. I'm not a weak person. I've faced many different, problems in my life, and I've overcome a lot of them. But these persistent ones that I really can't change, all I can do is shake my fist in the air angrily, or like the movie Boys in the Hood when Trey got confronted by that cop and got, humiliated and went back to his house, and all he could do was get mad and throw his fist in the air and just cry, because sometimes that's all you can do. And he had a girlfriend to be there for, somebody there to help him, and that isn't the case, because that's a movie. Everybody doesn't have a father like Furious. I had a father that, he sat down with me, he enlightened me on a lot of things, but everybody doesn't have that type of time. Everybody's dad doesn't work for himself to where he can just take time off to take you around different neighborhoods and show you these complex issues in society and why they are the way they are. No, some black men didn't graduate high school. Some of them did not go to college. Some of them went to college later on in life. You know, and some of them just don't have the time to really delve into these issues. And then for the ones that do, like myself and others, we feel alienated because we don't find joy in drugs and alcohol and sex. I really love put alcohol in separate category because it's so, accessible and acceptable in society to drink compared to doing other things. It's just, and then even if you do get help for your mental illness or you do seek out help, there's a whole nother obstacle to face inside the mental health system, how they operate, the different people they allow in different places, and different people's motives for different things. Because some people, some doctors or psychiatrists, shrinks, whatever you want to call them, you know, they don't have your best interest in heart. They're trying to push certain medications and see the effects and stuff like that, and they're not really concerned about your health, because either you're going to get better or you're not. And if you're not, they don't have to see you anymore. You're just not going to show up. And so, yeah, that's all it is. And it's not their job to chase you around and make you better. It's not a forceful thing. It is a matter of getting up, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and, doing what you need to do to get better. But, it takes time for different people, and you face so many hardships, and you get tired of facing hardships as a black man. Like you already have so many obstacles against you from different people with different races, your own race, and then when you try to get help, you gotta face more problems. When you try to just do it on your own, that's sometimes you're barely able to do that. You're hanging on by a literal string, you're trying not to just do irrational, terrible things, and it's a everyday struggle, for lack of better terms. It's every day. I think there's a song by Biggie Smalls called "Everyday Struggle." Well, I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to, not just black, but across the whole board, because sometimes you feel like you just cannot make it in life, and I feel like that's why he named the title, of Huey autobiography revolutionary. You know, the other word is, is one of the words YouTube doesn't like, so I'm not gonna say it. But yeah, these are just some thoughts I've been thinking about, and I don't know what the hell I'm gonna call this video, but it's gonna be something. But I appreciate everybody for watching. I don't want to talk for too long or take up too much of anybody's time. Appreciate anybody for watching this. Have a good day. Try to just make it through the day. Sometimes it's all you can do. And just hope for a better tomorrow.